Well, welcome back to the Word. Expanded the Gospels. We are going through the Gospels. We've been going through the book of Matthew, so I guess we're in the book of Matthew. And we're taking uh, each little section, right? And we are trying to pull out a couple truths from that section rather than going through it verse by verse. But we've been going through, and if you've been paying attention, you see that there's a lot of similarities, right? Jesus in each section really is trying to point out a truth, a principle of the kingdom of heaven. So today we're in chapter 13, we're in verses 24 through 30. It says the following. He put another parable before them, saying, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed a good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. So when the plants came up and they bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. Servants of the master of the house came and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have weeds? He said to them, An enemy has done this. So his servant said to him, Then do you want us to go and gather them? But he said, No, lest in gathering the weeds you root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and at the harvest time I will tell the reapers, gather the weeds first, bind them in bundles to be burned, but gathering wheat into the barn. Now, there's a lot in this section, obviously, and there's some things that we could definitely use to challenge some theology, right? Like, for instance, the whole concept that we're going to gather the tares first and then the wheat, right? You could probably try to negotiate through that whole thing with the whole idea of the rapture, right? We teach God is going to take the good people, the godly people out first and leave all the other people. That's not what this parable seems to state, right? It actually seems to state completely the opposite. Hey, we're going to take care of the tares, the bad seed first, and then we're going to deal with the good seed. So you can chew on that. I'm not debating it with you. I'm just saying you can chew on that, right? But when we look at this whole section, there's this idea, right, of an intention for planting good seed, but always in with the good seed, right? An enemy is trying to plant bad seed. We need to grasp the simplicity of that concept, right? That while you are and have the intention to plant good seed in moments, an enemy of God's, right? The enemy of God, he has a plan always to sow bad seed. So in any given moment, you're seeing both of these things play out. I don't know if you've ever been in any place where you put forth an idea and immediately a different idea comes up, right? Immediately somebody else is hearing something else, or you're talking to somebody and saying, hey, I think this, and they're like, hey, so-and-so said this, right? Or, hey, what about this idea over here? No, competing ideas aren't bad things. But competing with the intentionality of ruining, well, that's a bad thing, and that's the enemies, right? So, as an example, right, we send our kids to school, and we have the intention that they learn good things, right? If you have the intentionality that your kids are going to learn godly things in an ungodly place, well, you get way too high of expectations, right? But we expect them to learn good things, how to read, how to write, right? We expect them to learn how to be polite to other people, right? And learn a bunch of other stuff. But the enemy of your soul is equally sowing in that place. And he has the intentionality, right, of ruining the field, of also introducing to your children bad things, bad seed, right? Now, again, the way to handle this over time has been to just pull our kids out of the public school, right? I'm not arguing that. That's a prayer thing. That's what you need to do. I love Christian education, was involved in it for a long time, right? So I'm good with Christian education, right? But you better make sure that your kids are there for the right reason, that's where God wants them to be, right? But regardless, because, by the way, bad things happen in the Christian school as well. There's bad seed being sown there as well, right? In either situation, our intentionality needs to be, I want to make sure, I want to preserve the good seed. I don't want to fall asleep, right? I don't want to fall asleep on what my kids are learning. So I'm going to be a part of this whole thing. And I'm going to make sure, right, that if I can, that the bad seed is never sown. But if it is, I want to make sure that I'm pointing it out as bad seed, that I understand that it's bad seed, right? And then I'm working with God as to how to pull that bad seed out. I'm not saying that you just let your kids do whatever they want to do. That's not what this parable is talking about, right? This is very specifically about there's going to be godly and ungodly, right? And at the right time, God's going to separate it out. But we need to be aware of this whole concept. So my question to you is: are you falling asleep and allowing bad seed to be sown? Number one. Number two, are you aware of what the bad seed is and able to pick it out and point it out, right? And number three, are you allowing God to say, like, hey, at the right time, at the harvest time, at whatever time you want, God, let's get rid of this. I want to work with you to get rid of this out of my life. Too often, we do this exact thing. We get on somebody and we point out all the bad, right? And we start plucking it all out. And it turns them off from Jesus. It turns them off from church. Do we have the right to pull back? Yeah. But at the right time. Otherwise, we may do more harm than we might do good. Lots for you to chew on. Lots for us to be able to discuss, right? So if you want to discuss, write down some questions. I would love to chat with you about it, right? There are a lot of sermons in this section. So we'll see you next time right here on The Word Expanded, the Gospels.